Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Multifamily Chronicles, and I'm your host, Adrian Daniela. Our guest today is Lori Agudo. Lori is the Director of Training and Talent Development with Royal American Management. Welcome to the show, Lori.
Thank you for having me.
Lori, for starters, let's get you introduced to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background.
Sure thing. So where to begin? So my story begins in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm originally from. I am an only child, and I've had two wonderful parents. One, unfortunately, is not with us any longer, but my dad's my hero. He proudly served this country in the Army. And we still talk morning, noon, and night every single day. I'm daddy's girl, proudly. So shout out to dad. And so I'm now in Orlando, Florida, where I have been for well over 10 years. I've actually lived now more than half my life in the state of Florida between Tampa and Orlando. So I've been, in Central Florida, and that's become home. And so, of course, I still identify with New York, where I'm from. That's always going to be home, but Florida has been good to me. So I certainly appreciate it. There's definitely charms to living in Orlando, being in theme park central. Very much looking forward to heading out to the theme parks this weekend. One of our biggest events every year. Actually launches the spooky season, Halloween season. So Halloween Horror Nights, big Halloween Horror Nights fan. And it actually opens up this Friday, and that's where you'll find me on Friday. So anyway, aside from that, professionally, I actually started out in retail management, and I was in the retail management space for many years. And when I was out looking for an apartment in downtown Orlando, the community manager was touring me around the property, and we got into conversation. She kind of learned a little bit more about my background, and she would ask me the question that ultimately changed the course of my career. Have you ever considered a career in property management? I didn't know anything about multifamily, but I was at kind of a crossroads where I was looking to make a change. And so her timing was impeccable. And so I decided to kind of look into it. And then, I interviewed for a leasing consultant position. And the rest, as they say, is history. That was just under 17 years ago. And so I've held every position at the site level, from leasing to management. I was a multi-site manager, as an area manager. And then just under 7 years ago, I became part of what was then a department of one, our training department at Royal American, as a regional trainer. And I was a regional trainer for about 3 years before getting promoted to my current position as Director of Training and Talent Development. And probably commonly asked question is, how do you transition from being on site to being corporate level position, and kind of how did you find your path to that? Because, going back to being on site, many of us feel like, the natural path for, a property manager is, you might be an area manager or a district manager, and then you move on to a regional manager, and so on and so forth. My path kind of took a turn, and I took a different path. And I'm grateful for that, because my passion really has always aligned with professional development and continuing education. So, here I am, just kind of tell you a little bit more about it.
Is it safe to say that you have a passion for not just for training and development, but for people?
Absolutely. That's really the passion for people is at the base of everything we do in multifamily. This is very much a people business, and you have to be passionate about people, especially helping people, because that's at the core of everything every one of us does. One of my biggest supporters and one of my biggest inspirations, Dr. Debbie Phillips, when I first saw her at a conference years ago and we met, she said something that stuck with me then and will always stick with me. And that is, the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you realize your why. And I realized my why many years ago. My why is to live a life in service to others. And so that, once I figured that out, everything else kind of falls in place. And so everything I have done from that point on has been intentional to live a life in service to others. So absolutely.
One of the challenges that we have in the industry, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, right? And I want to stay with people, with the people aspect of the business. which I'm very passionate about, by the way. One of the challenges we have is to retain personnel, to build tenure. 10, 15 years. You've been with your current company for many years. That's, I won't say it's unique, but it's very, very rare in today's environment, right? People change jobs every, 6, 9 months, a year, So today, in today's environment, if you get someone to get 1 year out of them commitment, that's a good tenure to me, right? Maybe other people might have a different standard, but how do we build a type of culture that makes people feel valued, makes people want to work or be part of something that's bigger than themselves, and a culture that actually is focusing on their internal customer first before they even go out and they take care of the external customer? How do we build that type of culture, Lori?
Well, I've been with Royal American for just over 10 years at this point. And one of the reasons I have stayed with this organization is because they have supported me as an individual. They've supported my professional development, my continuing education, and they've had a strong company culture. How do we retain the employees that we have? What does your employee experience look like? Your employee experience starts when they first apply for a position within your organization. What does your onboarding experience look like? I recently did actually an internal webinar with our company that I had also done within another organization. And it was really focusing on the employee experience. We spend so much time focusing on the customer experience and making sure that our customer, our owners, our residents are satisfied, but do we spend enough time focusing on our people? Are our people happy? And one of the ways that your people can feel happy is if they feel seen, if they feel heard, if they feel valued, if they feel like their contribution matters. How are you supporting that? How are you promoting that as an organization? Do your employees have a voice within your organization? Do they know how to speak up and be heard? For example, one of the things that we have at Royal America is we have a suggestion box. And it's literally an email linked within our company intranet where our policy and procedure is housed. And an employee can jump on at any point in time and make a suggestion, a recommendation, talk about what they would like to see, whether it's training, whether it's something they feel like they need at the site level, whether it's, an idea. That's available to them always. And we're always promoting that through our company dispatch, which is open to all of our employees. So how are you finding a way for your employees to be heard? Because if they don't feel heard and they don't feel seen or valued, or that their contribution matters, they're likely going to lose interest. That's just, we live in a very instant gratification society. So if people don't see a clear path, they tend to lose interest pretty quickly. And so that in itself could be a reason for turnover. Do they see a path to upward mobility within your company? Is there a career path laid out for them? Do they know how to get there? Do they know what they need to do to get there? Are you promoting that? One of the things that, and this is accessible to anyone, Swift Money. I know Swift Money. You've had Kara and Jen on your show. They specialize in employee engagement surveys. Is your company doing employee engagement surveys? Are you asking your employees, how they feel? Are you asking them for their contribution? Are you creating that circle of safety for them to where they know if they speak up, that there won't be retaliation if what they say is hard to hear? And so those are some of the things internal as an organization that we're always looking at. We do send out surveys to our employees. We do ask them directly. And sometimes I'll be perfectly transparent here. Sometimes those things are hard to hear. However, they need to be heard. We as leaders need to take a step back, assess, what has been said, and then, okay, now what are some actionable items that we can take out of that, that feedback to impose positive change within our organization? If you're not focusing on your people, if they don't feel like they have a seat at the table, if they don't feel supported, if there's no training and development opportunities for them, if there's no upward path of mobility, they're just on loan to you till the next best offer comes along, which is why you're seeing high turnover. I think, we could all do a better job with focusing on our people, on their experience. And again, it starts from the beginning. Where were the warm fuzzies there before I started working there? And on day one, wow, they just knocked it out of the park. And it was just such an overwhelmingly warm, welcome. People will often decide whether or not they stay with an organization by how they were welcomed to that organization. And so what does your onboarding experience look like? Are you checking in with your employees 30, 60, 90 days into their employment? Is there regular communication in the meantime? You will see if you look at some of the data available out there that, we as an organization, we feel like we're communicating clearly and regularly, but does the employee feel that? Within your organization, do they feel like, if you have open positions within your organization, are you promoting from within? Do your employees know what opportunities are available, where to find out what opportunities are available? Again, you might think as an organization that you are being transparent with that information, that you're sharing it, but does the end user feel that? Do they know where to look for an opportunity on your company website? Are you promoting positions that are available to your employees that are already employed? Because another reason for turnover is people get passed over. An opportunity comes up that they would have been interested in, but they were not able to apply for it. And somebody was hired in from the outside, so to speak. And so these are all little things that you kind of have to take a step back and go, how does my company handle that? And it's not just, all right, here's day one, welcome to the company. And then they kind of disappear into the fold. And then we check back in, when it's time to do their annual evaluation. No, you have to have strong lines of communication. That is critical mass. And not just with your senior, leadership, not just with your regional managers or regional vice presidents or your president, VP, what have you, not just that group of leadership, but everybody, your site employees included, needs to feel a part of the organization. They need to feel like their contribution matters. And when they don't, again, they lose interest and then they start looking elsewhere. And the reality is, Adrienne and I, you and I both know, everybody's hiring. You start looking for an opportunity, you're going to find one because everybody's hiring. With the amount of apartment communities coming into, just the state of Florida alone, there's rapid growth happening here, right? And with that rapid growth means a lot of opportunity out there. So if you're not taking care of your employees, they're going to go elsewhere because they can. Some of the most successful people in business have a very simple business motto: take care of your people. They in turn will take care of your business. And that could not be truer. Richard
Branson had a famous quote, right? You take care of people, they're gonna take care of business for you. It's it doesn't have to be complicated. Right?
No, real simple. But find the ways to take care of your people. And again, in this job market, it's tough to hire and it's tough to retain, right? Especially certain positions like your maintenance positions, which have always been historically difficult to fill. But one of the things that I have discovered as not only being an industry educator, but of course teaching for our organization is, take care of your maintenance folks. They also want training and professional development. They also want a path to upward mobility. And I feel like over the years, that's kind of been lost on us as companies. There hasn't been as much maintenance related training offered, by your local affiliates, your local apartment associations. There hasn't been enough maintenance sessions at our conferences. And that's something, thankfully, in recent years has changed and has improved. And I'm sure will continue to improve. But that was really kind of the core of my session at Apartmentalize this year. And that was, really, how do you take care of your maintenance employees? When we're talking about how do you train the next generation of maintenance tech, you have to train that next generation of maintenance tech. That is something you have to provide. One of the difficulties that you're going to have with keeping, maintenance employees is the fact that, again, everybody's hiring. And if you're not offering them a real future, if you're not offering them training and development that's going to get them to that higher level, which is going to ultimately get them to that higher level of pay, along with that higher level of responsibility, then they're going to go seek it elsewhere, and they're going to continue seeking it elsewhere because, again, everybody's hiring. One of the things that we found here locally, like our local affiliate, Agudo, they offer a leadership and kind of training program specific to maintenance, though. And in this program, they talked about leadership skills and leadership training for maintenance. And they had budget training for maintenance. Like, how profound. Like, if everybody did that, and that was the kind of training and development that was offered, it would be much easier for you to hire for attitude and train for skill, because that training would be available to them. And so they might have a basic skill set when you hire them, but if there's training available for them to perfect their craft, and you invest in that as a company, that tends to lead towards longer, term employment. It tends to lead to longevity because you've invested in them. And that in itself is what made them feel valued, and that their contribution mattered because you invested in their education, you invested in their professional development, and now they wouldn't dare leave because they might not get that somewhere else. So again, we've got to do a better job of creating value for every single employee that we have.
I love that you talk about the leadership program for maintenance. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying this for a number of years. We should actually have certifications at the national level to have certified service manager. I know that I heard this argument that we have the KMT with mm-hmm. leadership, but that still says certified apartment maintenance technician. You're not certified leasing agents with leadership. You're doing certified apartment managers. Yeah. Your service manager and your manager shouldn't be like a servitude type of relationship, right? They're co-managing assets that mm-hmm. are worth 70, 80, $100 million. And to me, like, absolutely, I can't believe that in the year 2023, we're still not having something comprehensive to take a great, a very talented person, individual technician, and teach them how to become a manager of people. Mm-hmm. These two jobs, service manager and service technician, they have very little overlap. The technical mm-hmm. part is just very little overlap right there. For the most part, they're two different jobs, right? And on a larger property, they're like almost completely different. The technical part is like 5-10%. Mm-hmm. Everything else is managing, right? Managing people, inventory, vendors, everything. Managing. Mm-hmm. We're not teaching them. We just say, well, your boss just got fired. We're just, walk out of the job. Here's the keys. Congratulations, you got promoted. You got a raise. Okay, but you're handing them like $100 million worth of real estate, and you expect them to figure out on their own. That's unbelievable. Nobody does that in any industry. So,
but it's what's happening.
It's happening. That's just the reality. So I applaud your association initiative, right? And I hope this gets to be just the beginning, the start of like creating a certification for service managers, because we are needed. We're needing that so badly in an industry.
Absolutely.
We're failing our people.
Absolutely. That's why internally at our organization, we are working on a career pathing program, and we're going to pilot it with actually our porter position, because many of our porters ultimately get promoted to a maintenance tech. They learn on the job, so to speak. And while on the job training, yes, is effective, the kind of show and tell, and that's important. And what are the other aspects? Like, what is the formal learning that they need to know before they can successfully move into that position? So we're creating that right now, with the intention of ultimately laying out a path to every position within an organization. And how do you get from point A to point B? And maintenance is part of that. It's important for us to teach leadership skills to our maintenance team members. They're managing people. Yes, they're managing all these other things, but they're managing people. And showing them how to effectively do that is important. We can't lose sight of that.
Lori, you've been as a director of training and talent development. You oversee all training programs for over 850 employees, right? I think that's the number. Can you tell us about the challenges and rewards of managing such a large-scale training operation in our industry?
Challenging but rewarding, I like to say, right? The positive aspect is we provide them the training opportunities to feel more comfortable and more confident in doing their jobs, and that leads to better performance. And one of the things that kind of always has come up over the years and sitting on education advisory councils and different, committees as such is, what's it really, when you're talking about education and you're talking about training, kind of like, what's the difference between the two? We all seek an education for the purpose of knowledge. The purpose of training is performance. And so providing training increases performance, which affects your bottom line, right? But it doesn't come without its challenges. It's a very rewarding thing to offer as a company. It's received in an overwhelmingly positive manner, but it has its challenges. Your site employees are busy. They're inundated. In many cases, they have these large assets that are very demanding, or they have a challenging asset that's maybe a little bit older in age, requires a lot more attention for so many reasons. It's difficult, as much as they want to attend class, to actually physically get them to class. When you're doing a virtual, learning program, yes, it's convenient for them to be in their environment and be able to sit down on a computer and pay attention to class, but can they really pay attention to class? They're in their environment, the phone's ringing, somebody's knocking on the door, resident absolutely has to see them like right now. We all know that, right? So that makes it challenging, not only for them to actually get to class, but once they're there to be able to focus. Okay, so then you take them off site and you bring them to a classroom environment for a few days, and now they're off site, and now things are happening on property. And so their attention's still divided because they're still getting those emails on their phone. They're still getting those phone calls from maintenance in a panic. And even in a classroom environment, it's hard to get their attention in some cases and keep their attention because there are still things happening at their home site. So now they're away from home and there's things happening that they can't immediately get to. So there's a lot of distractions when you think about training. So how do we overcome that? Repetition's key. So we offer a management training program that's really more policy and procedure based. I'm not teaching you how to be a manager. I'm setting up, this is Royal American expectation. Here's our policy and procedure. Here's how we expect you to do your job. And so we offer this virtually and in person. So the virtual program is on a loop. We teach the modules every single month, essentially. So we'll start with, for example, operations procedures. And we just go from module to module. And so when we're done with that cycle, we hit the reset button, we start again. What change have we made that has been beneficial to us? We've opened up the audience. Training should be available to everyone, not just a select group, not just a certain position. So with the modules, we let the audience know, here's the target audience for this particular module. Here's the content that's going to be covered. We have a training intranet where we have an interactive calendar. You can see what class is being offered, the day and the time, the target audience, a little mini description of the course, and they have the ability right from that intranet to add it to their calendar. And so any employee can see any training that we're offering at any given point in time, its relevancy to them in their position, and they can go ahead and add it to their calendar and just show up to class. So we just kind of open up the audience. So even a seasoned manager who's been with us for many years can take a class as a refresher. Things change, policy and procedures change, documents you use internally, those can change, especially if it's human resources related. And so just constantly having the opportunity that anyone can join, including maintenance in certain modules. There's no reason, for example, maintenance shouldn't be encouraged to participate in a risk management module. So they understand that they have to look at their property with a set of risk management eyes. But creating those opportunities, opening up the audience, has allowed us to overcome some of those challenges of getting them to class and getting their attention. Maybe on the day we first hosted that class, that wasn't the best time for you to take the class, and you have to take it again at another point in time, but there will be another point in time. So you'll be able to take the session at a time that's convenient for you, that's live instructor led. We also record all of our sessions. And so we have a robust library of recordings where even if you participated live, you can go back and watch that recording when you need it. Maybe you missed something, or maybe now you're finally arriving at that task. You're like, how was I supposed to do that again? Oh, wait, there's a video for that. And it's easily accessible to them at all times, and they can go back and watch something that they've previously participated in. So how are you creating those opportunities to extend the learning to all and have it on a rotation where it's available enough to where if the day you were offering it live did not work, there's another opportunity to participate live, or there's at the very least an opportunity for them to watch what they missed at another time that's convenient for them. So it's just, we're going to have challenges with training. It's just, how do we overcome those challenges? And that's something internally within Royal American, we're always kind of reassessing. How can we reach the masses? What can we do? What can we offer them? What do our regional managers need? What are our regional vice presidents need? What do our senior regional directors need? What are the needs in the field? And then we can apply that to make changes to our programs or to even create new ones.
I love that you say that you're opening up your trainings to everybody. Like, maintenance should learn about the risk management. Yes, I go even further. I say maintenance should learn about all the aspects of the business. One of the best pieces of advice that I've had in my life was like back in like the early 2000s. I was reading Grace Hill was just like a blog, was not like the huge company that it is today. And someone wrote a blog piece and said, understand and speak the language of business. And that stuck with me up to this day. And I said, how do I understand? How do I get to understand? And how do I get this to learn this language of business so I could speak the language of business people so they could understand me, right? They could understand. I could relate I could communicate in such a way that I could relate to the higher ups at a company so I could get the resources that I need to be getting. So that's again, it's very commendable that your company does that. I think it goes a long way for people that want to improve, like they have the internal drive, right? They're driven to learn, to become more. So that's an amazing tool that you put out there for them to become more successful.
Well, for us, it's about support. When you're, a training department, human resources, contracting, whatever department you're in, our entire role is to support. And so how do we best support? What do our employees need from us? And so that will change. So from time to time, so we have to change from time to time to keep up with the needs of the people we support, but never losing sight that we're there to support them. That is our entire role within the organization. And so that also, as a support person, that has to be priority. Never lose sight of the fact that you are there to support your operations group so that they can be successful managing these 70, 80, $100 million businesses. Because if you really look at it, each property is its own individual business.
Yes.
So how do you support the needs of the business? And training directly affects their ability to handle the needs of the business. Because the reality is even if you're not hiring for attitude and training for skill, even if you're hiring somebody that's seasoned, that's been in the business for a long time, they're just great at what they do. They're a high level performer. They have a long, history of excellence and top performing properties, right? You're never too seasoned to learn something new. So even for your seasoned employees that have always performed well, that have, they're top level performers, always be learning. On LinkedIn, my first tag line, in my description, kind of like my bio on LinkedIn says lifelong learner, because that is how I view myself, because that is how I maintain my approach as an instructor. I have to continue learning to continue teaching. That's at the core of what I do. And any public speaker or educator is going to tell you the same. So in order to keep your approach fresh, you have to maintain the perspective of a student, and you have to continue to learn.
The world is changing every day. Why shouldn't we?
Right. Especially when it comes to technology.
Yes, technology is a big one. Since you're mentioning technology, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
That's good.
Once again.
I'm with it.
And I'll say, question for you is, how do you envision maintenance training in 2023? And when you describe your vision about this maintenance training, what type of place does technology have into your picture?
I'm actually glad that you asked that, because technology needs to play a larger role with the maintenance component of your property. So one of the things we're piloting through our resident management software platform is a Facilities Plus product. And it is really kind of a robust system that allows your maintenance technician, and some companies have been already doing this for years, allows your maintenance technician to essentially have access to this entire resident management software dashboard. So, but for the purposes of their role. So for example, when they're doing a unit inspection, when they're doing an exterior inspection of the property, everything that they do is contained within this Facilities Plus app. So they're using technology when they're accepting a service request and completing it. They're using, they're using this iPad to take photos and instantly document what they've taken a photo of and add a description. And, and so they're, instead of waiting on the office to, put the service request into, the system, and then here's your physical copy, going digital and relying on the benefits of technology, of using this iPad and having the instant capability of taking notes, taking photos, and integrating everything into this software that we're using to manage everything, about our assets. Our budgets are in, this software, our invoices, ordering, again, service requests, resident ledgers, everything is contained at the same source. So now they have their own way to incorporate what they do effectively and document everything in real time into the same software where we're housing everything. And it allows us to teach them technology and teach them the benefit of technology and get their buy-in that this really does make things more seamless. This makes things easier. And so one of the things we've also had to take a step back and understand as an employer is not everyone, maintenance or otherwise, is as tech savvy as you might think they are. And so creating almost like a computer basics type of, or technology basics type of training is also important. And always having that available, it for so many reasons, technology drives our business now. We didn't used to lead with a technology footprint. COVID changed that for us. We had to lean on technology to continue doing business as usual. We had to lean on technology to do virtual tours and, people moving to online applications and, that weren't previously. So it really kind of forced our hand, and I think in a good way. Not that COVID was good, please don't misunderstand that, but us having to finally put our best foot forward and incorporate technology in our industry and understand the benefits of it if it's used properly is something we were forced to do, and it resulted in good, in my opinion. And so teaching all of your employees what they don't know about technology and the benefits of it, and how it streamlines processes. It makes things more efficient. What does that do? That also alleviates some of the burden from your site teams. Doing all these manual processes can be very cumbersome and time consuming. So using technology and streamlining things move quicker. You have more time to be productive and do what you need to do versus being inundated with paperwork. So once they see that and they see the ease of use and they get that buy-in behind it, we're only going to continue teaching the technology and continue using the technology because it does streamline your processes. And when it comes from a documentation standpoint, which something that I preach every time I teach, document everything, right? It just allows us to do that in a more efficient manner. And as soon as your employees realize that, they understand how, we have to use the technology that's been provided because of what it does for us. Whether it's a lead management software, whether it's online reputation management, whether it's social media posting, all of those things are important aspects of our business. And using technology to be able to do all of that allows the ship to keep sailing, so to speak.
I love that you brought up the mobility piece of technology to carry, basically have access to your property management system in your pocket for the maintenance teams. One other piece that I'm, passionate about, and I think that they should have at their fingertips, is a library of how-to videos. You mentioned previously that, your trainings are being recorded. Does your company have, or are they considering building a library of short how-to videos for maintenance, like how to test a capacitor, how what to do, like my condenser fan is not working, like particular specific items and specific videos that are 2 to 5 minutes that could give them the possible way towards troubleshooting that issue?
Absolutely, and we already do. We have a maintenance support intranet, and the whole purpose of the maintenance support intranet is it is a whole series of how to troubleshoot and how to make repairs. And we're also able within that intranet to record our own videos. Like our corporate maintenance team, our director of maintenance, and our regional maintenance specialists have recorded their own in-house videos and have added them to that that maintenance support intranet. And so there's that constant resource of, again, if you're hiring somebody with a little bit of a lesser skill set, they have a tool in place that's already available to them on their first day of employment. And we continue to add to this maintenance support intranet. So yes, we do have that. We actually created that about 2 years ago, and it's worked really well for us. We're able to just go in there and just kind of show them, all right, so here's some basics. And they're all really micro learning videos. They're short in length. They're little nuggets of information, but it's enough to, again, show them how to troubleshoot and show them how to effectively make a repair. Even if you have somebody that's a seasoned maintenance supervisor, maybe they do what they've always known how to do. They just do what they've always done, so to speak. That doesn't mean it's necessarily the most effective way. So we do still promote this to all of our maintenance employees, even if you're a seasoned professional, you have this resource to go in there. Maybe there's a more efficient, more effective way to complete a repair that may be better than what you're currently doing. So yes, we do have that. It's really robust, and we have it structured to where it's broken out by category too. Appliances, HVAC, so on and so forth. So it's really structured, easy to navigate, and it has a lot of really useful information. Ironically, not only for your business and conducting repairs on property, some of our employees, because it's open to everybody, it's not just open to maintenance, it is open to everybody because it's accessible from our company dispatch. Some of our employees have gone on there and actually looked at how to troubleshoot, like why their dishwasher at home is not working and how they might be able to go ahead and fix it themselves. So it certainly has had its benefits.
So is that mobile? Do you have it available on a?
It's mobile friendly. It's not its own app, but because it's accessible from our company dispatch is actually open to the public. And so it is accessible for them, really honestly, from their cell phone if they needed it to be.
Nice. That's very nice. I think that's beautiful. I've been advocating, I've been speaking about it. Like you gotta have that at your fingertips. Like we're living in a mobile world, most traffic, 60-70% of the traffic is mobile, and it's growing. Like that's the future, like that's the present, and it's where the future is heading. We should have that available at our people fingertips. So I commend your company for for having this initiative. I think it's a really big deal. It's a game changer, right? In helping the guys, helping the teams being successful. Right? Basically, that's what you do. You set them for success.
And
switching gears.
it's not a generational thing. Here's the other thing people need to understand when it comes to having information at your fingertips and having, mobile accessibility. It's not a generational thing. Don't think that it's, employees just entering the workforce or youngest generation that are using technology. Every generation's on social media. Every generation's using their phone. Every generation's responding via text. So it's not a generational thing. And so that is another reason why you have to kind of go where they are, so to speak.
I love what you just said. You go where they are. People, I think people still tend to believe that TikTok is for young kids, for 14, 15 years old. If you're looking at the consumer data, you'll see how that age, has been increasing from like 14 to I don't know what it is today, but it's not 14, 15. I promise you that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're, like individuals, they're grown-ups, right? In their 20s, 30s, 40s, are embracing the platform. And that goes for every other platform. I just, happen to think about TikTok, but that goes for every otother. So you're right.
It's true. People have found a way to use social media to promote their business, to promote their brand. You can select what your platform is, what your message is, and use social media to get that message to the masses. And so small businesses depend on social media. Again, if you think about it, your property is your business. Your management company is your business. What story are you telling about your management company, what it's like to work for your company? Because another thing that I talk about a great deal, because I do a lot of human resources related training, and I teach the human resources module for CAM pretty regularly. And so one of the things is, you have to think about what story are you telling as an organization, and how does that impact your hiring? If your properties are out there posting what they love about where they work, and they're posting about their community, and they're having fun working together, and they're creating this environment that they enjoy working in, when they have an open position, where do you think today's job seeker is looking? They're looking on your social media platforms. What is it like to work there? It's not just your potential future residents are looking at social media saying, is that someplace I want to live? It's also job seekers looking at your social media profiles going, is that a company I want to work for? Do other people enjoy working there? Is that a property I want to work for? Do other people look like they enjoy what they do? And so social media just has such tremendous reach, and you have to use it as the resource that it is, and not just for, your brand, but really, your hiring. If you have open positions, it's not just posting an ad, hey, we're hiring for this position. It's like, no, telling a story. Storytelling is powerful. And that's how you have to use your social media platforms to tell that story that entices someone who's seeking employment to want to come work for your organization.
Totally. Let's remind everybody, external customer, but internal customer. Your candidates, your potential employees are out there too. They're watching what you're doing. They're your potential internal customers. They should be your main focus, not just whom you have within your organization today, but whom you want to attract. What type of talent do you want to attract? What's your strategy tailored towards whom you want to attract? What type of message you want to get out to the talent that you want to attract? So that's powerful. Lori, you've been actively involved in various industry organizations and committees. How has this involvement enriched your knowledge and contributed to your success in your current role?
There's a lot to unpack there. I wouldn't even be in my current role if it wasn't for an apartment association. I did not realize that being a full-time trainer was even an option for me. I didn't realize it was even a path for me. It took somebody seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself many years ago, and an individual who asked me to teach a class at our local affiliate, Agudo, that kind of ignited that spark. So I wouldn't even be in my current role if Desiree Starr, who was with AEGO at the time, hadn't asked me to teach a class, and just kind of, she put it out there. She's like, I think you'd be great at it. And I looked at her like, you're crazy. I can't do that. And then I did it and I got through it and I liked it. And I wanted to keep doing it. And then ultimately, Royal American would post there for a several regional trainer position. And then again, everything just kind of happened from there. What has it done for me? It has, I believe, helped me to be a better leader. Exposing yourself to other companies, other people from different walks of life, people with different level of experience. I've learned something from every single person that I've interacted with, no matter how little or how long they've been in the industry. Sitting in a classroom, I have learned from my fellow students as much as I've learned from my instructor. That has allowed me to continue improving my skill set as an educator. Sitting on committees and being able to have a voice that way and really contributing to an organization allowed me to not only fine-tune my voice, it gave me a voice in the first place. You know, it allowed me to kind of come out of my shell a little bit and know that it's okay to speak up and contribute my ideas. When I first started, you know, just under 7 years ago as a regional trainer, I was figuring it all out. I was just learning as I go, making mistakes and understanding the mistakes were an opportunity for growth and for learning, right? But really being involved in these affiliates and developing this network of people who, you know, now I've known for years who, you know, we champion each other, you know, having that strong support system, especially on the days where, let's face it, we didn't choose easy. We chose property management. And no matter what role you're in within this organization, some days can feel thankless, or you feel like your contribution's not enough. You're not doing enough. You're not making enough of an impact. You feel like today you failed. And having that strong network lets you know that, you know what, you're just having a bad day. You're still, you know what, you're still the best at what you do. You're still great at what you do. You still have something to contribute. Remember when you did this, or remember when you did that, or remember how you impacted, you know, my day when I was going through this. And just those kind of little reminders and just having that network of people to kind of fall back on in those days where that day is harder than others, has been so critical in me staying in the right frame of mind to continue doing the job, to continue trying to exceed expectations. So having that group to fall back on and now being part of mentorship groups and serving as a mentor within the industry, I learned so much. And I'm like this little sponge. I want to soak it all up, right? I learned so much from being involved with so many different types of people from different parts of the country. Again, different backgrounds, have worked with different companies. I've learned so much, and that keeps me humble, and it keeps me always wanting to learn more. So it's that fuel for me, you know, to continue igniting this passion of education and professional development. I could not sit here and encourage people enough to get involved, whether it's your chamber of commerce, a local apartment association, a state affiliate, national apartment association. There is so much value in just even sitting in a meeting as a member, not even being a committee chairperson, which could be, you know, a leadership role that you can take on. Just sitting in meetings, you know, having a seat at the table, hearing what others have to contribute. You will learn something, and you will learn something that you can rely on for years, that you can reference back to, that will make a profound impact on your life. You just have to show up. You know, you have to put in the work. You know, you have to go out there, you have to meet the people, you have to shake the hands, you have to, you know, listen to people's stories. You know, you have to feel comfortable sharing your own story, because people have just as much to learn from you as you have to learn from somebody else. You don't have to be an instructor for that. You know, imagine what a world we will live in if everybody can just sit together and have a conversation. You know, how much better would we understand each other? How much better would we be able to work together? How much better would we be able to support each other if we can do that? And that just, it not only has lended to my professional life, and it's lended really to my personal life. Some of those people that I've met are now my, you know, close personal friends, people I consider like family. And that's kind of the nature of our industry. If you really if you put yourself out there, you will develop a network of people that will wholeheartedly rally for you. They'll speak your name in a room full of opportunities.
Lori, you mentioned being a mentor.
Yes.
I know that you're a mentor for the National Apartment Association Diversity Leadership Program, and that's commendable. Can you share some specific experiences or insights gained from this role?
It's been extraordinarily rewarding to do that. I'm in my second year as serving as a mentor for the DLP program, and my mentees have been extraordinary people. I've learned a great deal from them. I've been able to be there for them, not only professionally, but personally. They've been able to come to me if they've had a personal challenge or a professional challenge. We've been able to talk through it. We've been able to talk about our mutual experiences or experiences that maybe are parallel to each other. They've always been able to reach out to me. I share my personal cell phone number. If they need to shoot me a text, hey, I'm having a day, I need to jump on a call, and making myself available. One of the biggest things about mentorship is if you are going to serve as a mentor, please make sure that you can dedicate the time to it. It's not fair to someone that you set a meeting and you're constantly rescheduling, or they try to reach out to you and you're just not available. If you're going to do it, make sure you have time to invest to do it, and don't over promise and under deliver. So I do keep the number of mentees that I have to a minimum, maybe like 5 or less, so that I can dedicate my time to them when they need me. First and foremost, the diversity leadership program that NAA offers is incredible. The work that the mentees, the students put in is profound. It's life-changing for them. They're not only learning to be better leaders, they're learning to really embrace what makes them them and know that their superpower is being who they are, showing up and being their true authentic self and being celebrated for that. And the DLP program encourages and supports that. And it's really a robust program with incredible instructors. And, and it's an honor to be a part of that program. There's only 15 students each year. And so that program in itself is something to be celebrated. And, the experience overall of just helping somebody navigate this program and then seeing them cross the finish line and seeing them graduate and being able to celebrate them after their capstone project. It's been an incredibly rewarding experience, not only personally, professionally, because of the relationships that have been forged, not only mentor to mentee, but mentor to mentor. Us mentors also have, like a group orientation and kind of a group chat going. So we're able to also support each other along this journey, along with supporting our mentees. And so I applaud NAA for offering this program and just continuing to offer it, because it creates an opportunity for someone to not only go navigate this program and come out the other side with a whole new perspective, with a whole new, just set of tools and resources to be successful in business, but they're doing so very intentionally, embracing that what makes us different is what makes us great. And that's something that every organization really can and should be doing. When it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, that's something every company should be embracing. It should be part of the DNA of your organization. NAA is just more intentional about how they do that and who does that for them. And they have some pretty incredible people. A couple of people that I couldn't admire more, Marcy French and Melissa D. White and Ishia Shepherd, and these people are out there, Dana Duckworth, that are out there, doing this wonderful work and really getting this message out that really at the end of the day, NAA is promoting this program and they wholeheartedly believe in this program. They're passionate about it, in hopes that other organizations also bring these type of programs into the fold. And we all should. We have our own internal programs in Royal American. It's part of the DNA of our organization. We have a committee that really just kind of embraces all the observances throughout the year. We have different activities, contests, all of our employees get involved. We have programs for residents, the communities we manage, to learn about property management. So after graduating the program, we can hire them, and we do hire them. So that's life-changing for them. But really, just kind of NAA is putting this out there. What I hope other companies can learn from this is find a way to incorporate this into your organization if you're not already. And I know there are organizations that have a robust DEI program, and there's some organizations that don't have one at all. So if there's anything to be learned by this diversity leadership program, is that's something your company should be offering. You should be embracing, DEI within your organizations as part of who you are as an organization. That's something today's job seeker is also looking for. When I look at, your leadership team, do I see somebody that looks like me? That's important. And there should be somebody that looks like them on your leadership team. There should be multiple people that look like everybody on your leadership team. But getting back to mentorship, I wish I had a mentor early on in my career. I do now, and I have several actually. But mentorship is so important. It's such an important aspect of your professional development, is having that supportive person that is either in the role that you seek at some point in your career, or somebody that just, they just have a strong head for business. They have many years of experience. They have some skill set that you are trying to attain, because it serves so many purposes. They're not only there for support, they're there for encouragement. They're there for inspiration, right? I want to be a better public speaker, but I have a public speaker as a mentor. So when it comes to creating an outline for, a session, presenting a session for approval, speaking at a conference, any type of speaking engagement, I have somebody that I can fall back on that's been doing it for years, that can give me honest feedback to help me shape that presentation and be the best I can be within that space, so that the audience gets what they came for. And so mentorship is something that either your company should offer, which would be great, but if not, then seek out those opportunities within the industry. There are mentorship groups out there that you can join that cost you nothing and can expose you to a whole new network of people that you wouldn't know otherwise. And you could be paired up with a mentor, or you can even serve as a mentor yourself. And so those opportunities are out there. So if you don't have that currently, seek those opportunities. And LinkedIn is a great space to do that.
Lori, amazing conversation, extremely engaging. We barely scratched the surface on all topics that I wanted to touch on with you.
I'm sure.
But that's hopefully a good thing, that maybe I could get you back to do a second episode here with so many other questions that I do want to ask. I appreciate so much you taking the time to be here and to talk on all those important topics. In closing, I'd like to give you the opportunity to say something you wish you had the opportunity to say and you didn't get a chance to, or maybe answer a question you wish I would have asked and I didn't.
Oh, that's a tough one. One last thing we probably didn't touch upon, and maybe this is a conversation for another day, and I'd be happy to come back. Thank you for having me. Is I know we've talked about it, training and professional development. Be inquisitive, ask questions, seek information, seek those opportunities to learn, seek professional designations. I can tell you as a hiring manager, if somebody comes to me with a certification or an industry, designation, those resumes, those applications tend to take favor. And so, because that tells me that's great that you have a college degree. Not everybody's gonna. It's great that you do, you accomplish that, but what skill set do you have that's relevant to our business? So seek out those education opportunities, either at a local apartment association, state affiliate, if they offer it. There's other organizations like IREM that offer a robust education schedule. Seek out opportunities to learn. Don't ever assume that you know it all. Because as I sit here as a director of training and talent development and an industry educator and public speaker, I will never sit here and tell you that I know it all, or that I do it all the best way. I'm always learning, but I'm always willing to learn. And you have to remain the student, I really feel like your entire life. That doesn't just apply to your professional career, it really also applies to your personal career. Always be learning, always have that vantage point.
Lori, if someone wants to reach out, they want to connect with you, what are the best ways to connect with you?
I can tell you the space that I spend the most amount of time on is LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just search for me by name. I'd be happy to connect. I'd be happy to have a dialogue with you. I'd be happy to share information if you need it. A lot of people ask me, how did I become a full-time educator in multifamily, or how did I become a director? How did I even, how was it that I started teaching or have continued teaching for apartment associations? So I'd be happy to help anybody on their journey. And then, continue to check in from time to time. I'd love to be part of people's journeys. There's people that I have now known for years, and I've seen their professional growth, and I've seen where they started, and I've seen where they are today. And that's just an amazing thing to be able to have that vantage point that, maybe when I met you, you were a student in my class, you were a leasing consultant, and now you're a regional manager. That's extraordinary. If you're able to see someone's growth, that for me is exciting. And not because I contributed to it personally, but I'm all about seeing people win. And if I can contribute in any way, to helping you win or helping, to get you where you want to go, I'm happy to do that. Again, that's my lot in life. So.
Lori Agudo, thank you so much for being here with us today, for taking the time. Again, amazing conversation. Hope to get you back here soon for a second episode. So much more to talk about.
There is always more to talk about. Thank you for having me, Adrian. It's been a pleasure.
Everybody, thank you very much for watching us today. I'm your host, Adrian Danila, and this is Multifamily Chronicles. I hope to see you back here soon. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.